This is my living testimony, and I say to others, you're not alone. Many have come out of Black Greek letter organizations and other secret societies because of their personal relationship with Jesus Christ. We will continue to pray for our brothers and sisters inside and outside of these organizations. I was a Q dog, an Omega man. Let me give a real testimony out of love for all of y'all's children in and out of secret societies. After 6 years of failed attempts to cross the burning sands into Omega land, I finally crossed Spring 92, my pledge process that took place in the years 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, and 91 contained more hazing than intake processes nowadays. Broken teeth and arms, near-death experiences were part of being in a fraternity in that era that I lived in. And truth be told, it's still a part of being in the organization if you really want to be made versus paper. This was the time when a young man from Norfolk State dropped line and sued the fraternity. Back then, to me, he was wrong. I viewed him as a betrayer, a sellout. But this young man was a gospel singer whose jaw was broken by one of his big brothers. I was also beat down and did plenty of beating during my time in the fraternity. I served as an assistant dean of pledges and a dean of pledges. I've been in things that are too graphic to really mention in the public square. I also have witnessed women being sexually abused. When I was a nasty Q-dog, my attitude was they wanted it. Today I carry scars, busted up tooth, brands on my chest, arms, and legs. I gave up blood, sweat, and tears for Omega. I remember before I crossed, 2 brothers quit the frat because of religious convictions. But the other brothers kept it on the down low. Those brothers never really came back to witness well to me. Those of us in the fraternity just put it out of our minds like it's a rumor. That following summer, my best friend, who was an alpha, was getting married, and his wife, who was a member of another sorority, had a line sister in the wedding who witnessed to me. I went up to her because the word was going around the wedding party like, she used to be a Delta. I'm like, I'm fresh off a Neo, fresh off the sands. I'm like, why'd you leave the sorority? And she said, because she got saved. I was like, wow. But the preacher who performed the wedding ceremony was a Q. So I was just like, she tripping. But I was really the one tripping. I was in the basement of the church drinking brews, getting drunk. I really didn't care about no, religion. Years later, after studying all types of religion, while pursuing my music career all over the United States of America, my lifestyle began to catch up with me. I developed acute bronchitis. Also, the trips to the free health clinic for urinary tract infections were killing my immune system. I was dying. One night after coming home from the club, I prayed. I can't even remember what I said, but the prayer is what sparked the prayer was a hangover from the club. I woke up the next morning and the thought came to my mind to fast off of meat for 30 days. I obeyed. What did I have to lose? And at the time, I wasn't following Jesus Christ. In fact, I was studying things like the Nation of Islam, and I was studying the Holy Tabernacle Ministries under Dr. Malachi Z. York. So, after about 2 weeks into this fast, I stopped using drugs. Stop going to the strip clubs. Stop hitting the streets for hookers. All those desires was just leaving me. I'm just blaming it on maturity. I went home for New Year's Eve, headed to a party. But somehow that night, I ended up in church. And the message was clear. The minister preached about family. And that time I had no wife or children. I was 35 years old. Then the things that spiritually began to take off for me. I was soon on the road with several famous stars in a gospel play called Mama D's Girls. It felt real good. In fact, I decided to do a gospel CD to balance out, sort of like, P. Diddy or Death Row doing a gospel CD, to balance out the hardcore music I was doing across the tracks in Carolina. Then I ended up at a church in Atlanta, Georgia. I did not have a Bible. In fact, I had not read a Bible since I was 15 years old. It was crazy. The only Bible verse that I remember was John 14. Let not your heart be troubled. Believe in God, also believe in me. In my Father's house there's many mansions. And further down in that verse it says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. The whole time till I was 35, I was carrying the words of Jesus in my head. And it would pop up out of nowhere. But I would just shake it off. Because even though my spirit was talking to me, my flesh was talking a little bit louder. I remember being in the parking lot of New Birth, Atlanta in 2001. And, somebody was talking over the loudspeaker from the inside the church. And he was like talking about doing something foolish while he was in college. I was like, what is he talking about? But it sparked my interest. So as I started walking into the church and saw this man, Minister Terrell Murray on the pool, he was talking about getting branded when he was in college in Atlanta. I went in after the sermon, walked right up to him and saw that he was a Q. He had the biggest Omega brand I'd ever seen through one of them, Eddie Long muscle shirts. I could see his brand right through the shirt. But I still wasn't ready to give up Omega or hear anything about my brands or my tattoo. So I just gave him my CD, told him I'm about to be out, and left. After hearing my testimony, members of the church from New York asked me, if you had the opportunity and we took care of your room and board, would you come to New York City? I was like, yeah. In fact, that church, Destiny Worship Center, gave me my first Bible. And about 3 months later, after that monumental transaction, the Bible gift, I was out of there. I would read a little day by day. It was my sleeping pill at night. I grew stronger and stronger in the word, Then one day after the September 11 bombing, I woke up on the couch in this house speaking in tongues. A couple weeks later, I ended up at a revival where in the Haitian church where a man from Nigeria was preaching, Reverend Anunzia. There were many people in the back of the church praying when the revival minister's wife prayed for me. And that's when I went in the air and landed on my forehead. I thought I cracked my skull. It was on a hard cement floor, and I was struggling to get up the floor for a few seconds. Then I was totally knocked out, blacked out. When I got up, nobody was around me. I guess it might have scared them, or I don't know. I might have been just laying on the floor for a long time. All I know is when I got up, I was in a daze, and I walked out the church, and the only thought was in my mind was to go back to my basement apartment in Queens, New York, and read the Bible and find out who Jesus really was. Little did I know that this would be the end of the life that I had grown accustomed to. After the revival, I stayed at that Haitian church with Pastor Église del Bethesda, and I knew that God was up to something, and I was not going to even leave New York City without getting it. Even though I just finished doing a gospel rap album with a brother named Sean Slaughter. In 11. One day while sitting and watching a pastor do a video at this church, because I was in church when I got saved. After I went to that, I used to be in church when I get home from work. Before work, I was in church every day. But I was watching this guy did a video, because this church used to do videos for public TV. And I watched this man, and he started doing some sign language, but he was speaking in French and Creole. This man was a former Freemason, and after the show, I said, I got to speak to this guy. So we met outside, and he told me that the frat was not founded upon Jesus Christ, the rock. I researched and prayed. 2 weeks later, I forgot. And I told him, what did it have to do with me? I'm a Q. I'm not no Freemason. That's when he told me that the frats, the college fraternities, were founded upon his fraternity that he was a member of. Well, after I prayed, and 2 weeks later, I went to my truck, bent over with a screwdriver, took the license plates off the front. When I took them license plates off my car, it felt like, if I could have told you the weight that went off the back of my shoulders, like, whoosh. Now, this part, even though all of that might be crazy and you might not believe it, this you really gonna have to pray about. After praying and reading my Bible for several weeks in a beat down apartment in Hollis, Queens, with no television, plenty friends, and those friends were cockroaches and a rat. One Sunday morning, after I woke up and was getting ready to go to Sunday school, I heard a voice come out of nowhere. I knew whose voice it was, and I began holding a conversation. He said the same thing 3 times. Ask her to marry you. The voice was speaking of a Sunday school teacher at the church. I really didn't know this woman, but that's what I heard. And after finally obeying, a couple weeks later, we've been happily married for almost 10 years, and we have 6 children. I recall that sermon on New Year's Eve 2001. All he was talking about was family, family, family. 1 year later after that, I would be married. February 8th, 2002. I used to sing a song. I know I've been changed. Omega Psi Phi done signed my name. I was a Q to the day I die. Well, listen to me, my brothers, as you go on the 100th anniversary to Washington, D.C. for the clay. Listen to me. I died and was born again. It happened to me, and it can happen to you. Now I sing the same song, only difference now I sing it how it was originally written. I know I've been changed. An angel in heaven done signed my name. My name is now written in the Lamb's book of life. I pray that this testimony touches the heart of someone who is lost. I do not do this because I am mad, because I'm not. I do this because Yah picked me up, turned me around, placed my feet on solid ground. To the children of the Most High, remember, even when the Father beats you, He still loves you. In remembrance of what happened to the Apostle Paul, I was knocked down on my way to Damascus. A former member of a sorority sowed a seed in me in 1992. It took 9 years for that to spring out of my soil. My prayer is that this seed will hit others, good soil, and be ready for the soon to come return of Yeshua HaMashiach, also known as Jesus Christ. Hallelujah.